everyone, today I'm bringing you a wrap-up video. Now I know that most booktubers will do these every month, but because I only get the chance to film one video a week at the moment, I thought it's going to get too repetitive on my channel if I do it every single month. So I've decided that I'm going to do this video every 3 months. So these are going to be all of the books that I've read so far in January, February and March. I'm also going to be showing you what I'm currently reading and then going through some of the books that I want to try and read over the next few months. So let's get on to the books that I've read so far this year. The first book that I read in 2017 was Lying About Last Summer by Sue Woolman. This was part of the W.H. Smith Zoella book club and I've got a full review of this in that review video, so I will link that down below if you want to go and watch that. I loved this book, I read it really quickly and I gave it 5 stars. The next book that I read was this beautiful edition of Cinderella. This is the book of the film and I'm sure I've shown this in a video before, I think it might have been my Goodreads tag. But this is absolutely beautiful, it's got lovely illustrations inside and again I finished this one really quickly, I gave it 5 stars. Then we have another book from the Zoella book club which is The One We Fell in Love With by Paige Toon. I think this is probably my favourite book from the Zoella book club in round 2. Again, if you want to see a full review of this I will leave the link down below for my Zoella book club review. But again, I love this, there's a brilliant twist in this. I don't talk about it too much in the other video because I don't want to spoil it, but I loved it. This one I also gave 5 stars. And then we have the final book from round 2 of the Zoella book club, which is Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella. I really liked this one as well. Again, if you want to watch the full review, then go to the link in the description box. But I liked this one, but not as much as the other 2 that I just showed you, so I only gave this one 4 stars. The next book I picked up is I Heart New York by Lindsay Kelk, and I think I picked this one up because I was sad that I'd spent Christmas in New York and I wasn't there anymore. So I picked this one up and I did like it. I loved that it was set in New York, obviously that was the reason I decided to read it in the first place, but I didn't love it. I gave this one 3 stars. Then I read Hold Back the Stars by Katie Kahn. This was my first book purchase of 2017, and again I've done a full video review of this book as well. It's completely spoiler free, so I will link that in the description box as well. But I absolutely adored this book. I read it really quickly again and I gave this 5 stars. The next few books I'm going to talk about I actually don't have a physical copy of. That's either because they are on my Kindle or because they were a library book that I've since taken back. The next book I read was Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth, and I wanted this one as a physical copy but I forgot to pre-order it when it came out. So I went out looking for it. I went in my local supermarket which normally has a really good selection of books and they didn't have it. I went to local bookstores and I couldn't find it there either, so in the end I downloaded it on my Kindle. I really enjoyed this book, although it did take me a little while to get into. I'm not quite sure why, but I had to restart it about 3 times to actually get a grasp on who was who and what was going on. But I did really end up enjoying it at the end and I can't wait for the next part of it, as I believe it's part of a series, and I gave this one 4 stars. Then I picked up The Perks of Being a Wallflower from the library, which I also showed in a library haul, which I will link in the description box as well. I really enjoyed that book. It was one that again I read really quickly. I am a very fast reader, you all learn that, as I have read about 27 books this month I think. But I really enjoyed The Perks of Being a Wallflower and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was Shotgun Love Songs by Nicholas Butler, which was also in my library book haul. And the reason I picked this one up was purely based on the cover. I did read the back to find out what it was about, but I loved the book cover so much that I knew I really wanted to read it. I did enjoy it, but not as much as I really wanted to, and I gave it 3 stars. The next book I read was The Siren by Kira Cass, and I'd heard a lot of mixed reviews for this book, but I decided to pick it up anyway because 1, I loved the cover, and 2, I've heard really good things about the author's selection series, so I really wanted to try this one. I will get to the selection series, they are on my TBR list. But I really ended up enjoying The Siren actually, despite the mixed reviews on it, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was Out of Heart, which was sent to me through the publishers by NetGalley, which I'm really grateful for, so thank you very much for that. I love the description of this book and I loved the cover as well. Again, I really wanted to love this book, but I didn't love it as much as I wanted to, so I only gave it 3 stars. I then read another library book, which was The Book Lovers Appreciation Society, which was a book made up of lots of short stories, including books by Cecilia Ahern and Sophie Kinsella and loads more. But I really liked this one. It was a nice one to have next to my bed so I could just read a couple of short stories each night, but there wasn't loads in there that I loved, so I gave this one 3 stars. The next book I read was Dream a Little Dream by Giovanna Fletcher, and if you know anything about me you'll know that Billy and Me and Always With Love are 2 of my favourite books, so I was really excited to read this one by her. I really did love it, but not as much as Billy and Me, so I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was also sent to me on early release, and that is Girls Can't Hit by T.S. Easton. I really liked the idea of a girl getting into boxing in this book and I enjoyed reading it and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read We Come Apart and I did a full video review which was spoiler free on my channel, so I will link that video down below if you want to go and find out a bit more about it. but I loved the layout of this book, I loved the characters, and I gave this 5 stars. Just to save me repeating myself over and over again, the next 8 books that I'm about to talk about were all sent to me by the publishers through NetGalley on early release, so again, thank you so much for that. The next book I read was See You in the Cosmos, Carl Sagan, and I had heard so much about this book on BookTube. A lot of people that had already read it had really been loving it, and I'd seen the cover everywhere, which is beautiful by the way. But I really didn't love it as much as I wanted to again, and I was really sad about that because the idea of it sounded brilliant to me, so I gave this one 3 stars. Then I read The State of Grace by Rachel Lucas, and this was just a lovely story about a girl who just wanted to fit in, and I gave this one 4 stars. Next I read Miss Mary's Book of Dreams by Sophie Nichols, and this was another one that I loved the cover of and really loved the description of, but unfortunately didn't love the book as much as I really wanted to, so I gave this one 3 stars. The next book that I read was Geekerella by Ashley Poston. I hope I've said her name right there, but I absolutely adored this book. This was a Cinderella retelling with a twist, and I absolutely loved it. I really recommend that you read it if this is your kind of thing, and I gave it 5 stars. Then I read Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith, and this is the first book by Jennifer that I've read, but I now really want to read all of the other books that she's written. I absolutely flew through Windfall, and it was just a brilliant book to read, and I gave it 5 stars. Then I read Who Runs the World, and the idea for this book sounded absolutely amazing to me. So a virus came and wiped out loads of the men. There's not very many of them left, and they're kept somewhere separate in a sanctuary so that the virus can't get to them out in the real world. So everything is run by women, everything's done by women, they're the only people left in the outside world. But unfortunately, when I was reading the book, I didn't love it as much as I really, really wanted to, which was such a shame, so I only gave it 3 stars. Next I read If Birds Fly Back, and I really, really enjoyed this book. I loved the character of Sebastian, so if you read it, hopefully you'll love his character as much as I did. I gave this book 5 stars. The next book I read was Goodbye Days by Jeff Zentner, and I really enjoyed this book. I actually read it all in a 24-hour period. I just lazed around all day one Sunday and read the whole thing. It really struck a chord with me as well because I actually lost a friend in a car accident when I was around the similar age to the characters in the story. I gave this book 5 stars. The next book I read was very kindly sent to me, so thank you so much for that. This is And Then We Ran by Katie Cannon. This is an uncorrected proof copy, so this isn't the proper cover, but I will insert a picture of the cover here. But I absolutely love this story, but I'm not going to say too much about it because I want to do a complete review which should be out next Monday, so if you're interested in that then keep an eye out for it. I gave this book 5 stars. The next book I read was another early release through NetGalley, so thank you so much for that. It was Keep Me Safe, and I absolutely adored this book. I love the description of it, but I never could have anticipated how much I actually loved the book. I've been recommending it to people already and it's not even out yet, so I think it's pretty obvious that I gave this book 5 stars. Then I read another library book which I actually still have on me, and that is Waiting for Callback. I really enjoyed this story and I loved all of the actors' quotes at the beginning of each chapter. There was 2 in there by Tom Hiddleston, who is my favourite, so I really liked that. I now really want to read the second book in this series as well because another one has just come out, I believe, so I'm going to get onto that. I gave this 4 stars. The final book that I've read this month is David Arman's Counting Stars, and I really wanted to like this because I'd heard so many good things about it. This is a book of short stories, so I've had this one next to my bed the same way that I did the Book Lovers Appreciation Society, but I actually didn't love this one at all really. Unfortunately, I only gave this one 2 stars. So those were all of the books that I've read so far this year. That was 27 books there, but I think there is time for one more book this month, so I'm going to show you what I'm currently reading now, and that is Salt to the Sea. I've heard so many amazing things about this book, and I believe this won a Goodreads award last year, so I'm very excited to get through this. Now I want to share with you some of the books that I want to try and read over the next few months before my next wrap up. Most of these I'm probably going to end up reading in April because I've got a big pile of library books down there that I'm going to show you in a second. But I just quickly want to mention Cecilia Ahern's second YA novel called Perfect, which follows on from Flawed, which I've got on my bookshelf just here. I'm really excited for that. I've been waiting for it for what feels like forever, and it's so close now. I believe it's the 6th of April is release date. But I cannot wait for that one, and that will be the first one on my TBR list when it comes out. The library book that I'm going to read next is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas, and I've heard so many amazing things about this book. I haven't read any of the Throne of Glass series, although everyone keeps recommending them to me, but I'm going to start off with this one because this was the only book by her that was in the library at the time. Then I want to read Songs About a Girl by Chris Russell, and I loved the description of this one, so I ordered this one into the library because I was desperate to read it, so I'm going to read this one after A Court of Thorns and Roses. Another book that I want to read is one that I also ordered in, and that is Traitor to the Throne by Alwyn Hamilton. I absolutely loved Rebel of the Sands, and I was really desperate to read this one, so I ordered it in as soon as it came out, and I've just managed to get my hands on it. Then I picked up a book that was the first in a series which I really want to read, and that is Did I Mention I Love You? I've been hearing so much about these books and I've been desperate to read this one for ages, so when I found this one on the shelf in the library I knew I had to take it home. Then I've got It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. This was one that was in my library haul that I did a few weeks back, but I haven't had the chance to read it yet, so I've renewed it a few times. But I really want to get round to reading this one this month because you can only renew a book 7 times, and I think I've already done this one 4, so I'm going to get round to reading this one in April. Then I picked up My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick. The description of this book sounds absolutely amazing, definitely my kind of book, so I'm going to try and read this one as soon as possible. I went to the library again this week with a friend because she had to return a book, and when we were going there I said I don't need any more books, I've got a big pile of library books at home that I still need to read and loads on my Kindle that I still want to get through. I don't need any more books. And I'd almost made it out of the library when I spotted Whisper to Me on the shelf. So I didn't stay true to my word, I ended up taking another book home, so this one is also on my TBR for the next few months. I've also just requested another book from the library, which is Just One Year by Gail Foreman, because I read Just One Day last year and I really want to read the second part, so I'm now waiting on that one as well. The final book I want to talk to you about that I want to try and read over the next few months is Eclipsed by Dominic Holland. Now, Dominic Holland is Tom Holland's dad. If you don't know who Tom Holland is, then where have you been living? He is the new Spider-Man, and he's a brilliant actor, and this book is one that his dad has written about how Tom Holland eclipsed his celebrity dad, and this sounds like a really good book. I've heard that it's really funny as well because Dominic Holland is a comedian, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. There's some lovely pictures in here as well, and also, just show you, when I received the book, he wrote a little personalised note which I won't show you because it has got where I live on it, so I don't want to share that. But I got a lovely little note that was personalised in there to say, here is my new book and I hope you like it. But I also opened it up and he's put To Janay, Dominic Holland inside, which was lovely. Thank you for signing the book, Dominic. But also inside is Tom Holland's signature. Now you can imagine, if you know me, that when I realised his signature was in this book, I lost my cool a bit. Very, very excited by the fact that it's signed by Dominic and Tom, so thank you so much for getting this sent to me all signed. Thank you so much, Dominic. But I'm really looking forward to reading this now, and I will probably end up doing a bit of a review on this as well, maybe towards the time that Spider-Man is going to be released. Maybe I'll talk about that a bit more then. So that's it, guys. I'm finally at the end of this video. That's taken me an absolute age to film. That was a lot of books to talk about though, so I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I was also going to consider talking about the films that I've seen over the last 3 months in this video, because film is another love along with reading books. So if you want to see that in next month's video, then do let me know. But thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely week and I will see you again soon. Bye!